New year, new draft. It's my favorite time of the year when everyone's optimistic and feeling like they walked away with the championship team before wins and losses actually begin, and the teams that are losing may get a little less into it. Although with this league, that doesn't happen as much. Everyone's always engaged because you have the big leagues and the little leagues. So I want to welcome the 4 new teams to the big leagues. You also probably haven't seen my face before. So for you all, I recap this league. This is the draft, so this is going to be the draft recap. I'm just another fantasy obsessed person. I wouldn't say I'm an expert, even though I've won 3 of the last 4 years. Let's not make a big deal out of that. No, like anyone else, I'm just a big fantasy football fan, and I believe that I'm going to be the lone objective opinion that you have for your fantasy teams in the fantasy season, because not many people are interested in our fantasy teams, and those who are usually people who love us, and they're going to tell you that you're in a good situation. So for me, hopefully I could be one voice of reason. So that being said, the way I structure the draft recap is as follows. I'm going to say what I believe to be the best value pick of the whole draft, and then the worst value pick of the whole draft, before going from last to first, the strongest teams, the strongest drafts that I saw, and I'll give a breakdown into why they placed where they did, and the final draft grade that you get. I know Yahoo, I don't know if Sleeper does, but I know a lot of websites give draft grades, but they're trash. Hopefully mine are more accurate, so we will see. So with that being said, let's get started. The way this league works, as you all already know very well, is it's a 10-team league, which I believe is a little bit smaller than what my ideal league size is, only because I think every team's able to walk away with fairly strong teams. There's not so much of a need to get a real deep value pick, but at the same time, you do still need to get those value picks to win this league. So I guess forget what I just said. So 10 teams, let's rank them. Before we rank them, best value pick is TJ Hawkinson. He was the last pick of the 7th round by Team Glory Hole, fantastic name. What an incredible value pick here. I mean, especially when you look at the tight ends that went before. Someone spent a mid-6th round pick on Gronk. Someone spent a later 4th on Mark Andrews. And someone spent a third on Kyle Pitts. These are all guys who could do well, except for Gronk. I think Gronk's overvalued here, and most rankings do. But all good guys, but I view Pitts, Andrews, and Hawkinson on the same tier. Maybe Pitts has an edge, but not 4 rounds of an edge. So when you're able to get the last really top tier tight end, in my opinion, and TJ Hawkinson, a guy who might lead that entire group I just mentioned in targets, definitely going to lead the Lions in targets, in my opinion. That's just a wildly positive, low, almost no downside pick, and in my opinion, the best value of the entire draft. For the worst value pick, we're going to go with, this was the easiest. I do this for every league I recap. I do the best value, worst value. I've never had an easier decision as to the worst value pick. So with that being said, this one goes to Paul Deasy, a new team in this league, trying to prove that he's worth it, that he's worth his presence in the league, and I believe he misses the mark, at least with this pick. Grabbing Tom Brady in the middle of the 2nd round, I don't even have words to describe how poor of a pick I believe this is. Again, this is another one where it's not a hot take by me. Most people would say that. I'm not even going to go into it. That is wildly off base. The next quarterback was taken, I want to say, in the 5th round, which is actually wild. When was Josh Allen taken? Wow, Josh Allen was the 4th quarterback taken. The next guy was taken in the 5th round, Kyler Murray. Good pick. You didn't need a tight end here. I don't even know what I could say about that. So I'm going to stop talking. All right, so let's rank the teams 10th strongest to the strongest draft picks. Number 10, a returning team to the league, one that has had its ups and its downs, Team the Prophet. So what do I feel like happened with Team the Prophet, I should say? With Team the Prophet, you go 1st round quarterback, which leaves you vulnerable with the rest of your positions. It's a huge investment to go quarterback. Again, we talked about how in this league, quarterbacks, they fell, and it's a deep class. I don't think you need to reach, even if Mahomes is clearly at the top of the class, I don't think you need to reach there. So it left you vulnerable, and you would need to recover. You recover with another very risky pick, Saquon Barkley. Actually, my 1st round pick, I lose sleep over it already. So for me, it hasn't been worth it. But while the upside's there, you're leaving yourself unbelievably vulnerable at your position running back and wide receiver. The skill positions there, I don't see that being a recipe for success. And then you keep going. You go A.J. Brown in the third round, which I think is a risk with Julio potentially taking over many of those targets. A.J. Brown's still the top guy in that offense, but with Tannehill throwing it to him, well, I know Tannehill deserves respect. I already have my hesitancies, but then you throw in Julio Jones there. Not that different of a receiver than A.J. Brown. I get a little bit iffy. Then you go Mark Andrews. We just talked about how I like T.J. Hockenson more, and you could have waited 3 rounds, it appears, to go tight end there. Then Kareem Hunt, we're talking a backup running back, where I see the value. Odell Beckham, same team as Kareem Hunt. There's a lot of things that I have issue with on this team. It's not like you absolutely butchered it. It's not that this team has no hope, but I view this team as too vulnerable to too low of a floor. And with that, I make you the 10th strongest team in this league at this point, and I give you the draft grade of a C. Number 9, we just talked about him. We're gonna bring it back with Paul Deasy. Paul Deasy, a lot of this does have to do with that pick of Tom Brady in the second round. I don't think the rest of your draft actually was so bad. If you didn't go Brady, and then you also didn't go Fournette later, who's now a starting running back for you in what I believe to be a massive reach. Fournette was a pick after Darrell Henderson. I see 3 tiers of running backs of a gap there. I don't like that Fournette pick at all. And again, that was before Hockenson. You clearly could have waited for tight end again. You went Gronkowski, who I don't see value in. So because of your obsession with Tampa Bay that I don't understand, despite them winning a Super Bowl, that is why I'm giving you a C+, your draft grade being a C+. I do love some of your picks, so I don't want to overlook that. Tyreek's a good first-round pick, of course. I like Monty. I like J-Rob. I love Robert Woods. All guys who are going to get a lot of action, a lot of looks. And I like Devontae Smith later as a sleeper. And I like Matt Ryan as your second quarterback as well. But I just think those massive misses on some really important picks leave you at the 9th strongest team, getting that C+ grade for me. Number 8. I remember this team as well, coming back, returning, and that team is the Chairman. The Chairman just has too many unknowns. One of my least favorite picks of the draft is for the Chairman, and he went with Mike Evans in the 4th round before guys like Amari Cooper, Chris Carson, Kyler Murray, Cooper Kupp, over a round before Robert Woods. I don't like Mike Evans this year. I actually have my hot take here. While a lot of people are talking about the Bucs wide receivers, my hot take here is that I believe that Mike Evans will actually finish as a 3rd leading receiver between that receiving group. I think Godwin's going to lead it. I think AB is going to be 2nd, and I think Mike Evans is going to be 3rd. So outside of that Mike Evans pick, there were some good picks here. That's why I don't think it was a bust of a draft. There just weren't any homers for me after the 2nd round. No one where I really see the upside comparing to a lot of these other teams. So you're getting a B- as your draft grade. I think that's a fine draft. And being 8th is probably not the position you want to be in. But of course, it is just one man's opinion. So with that being said, you're going to stay at 8 right now with a lot of potential, but not, I shouldn't say that because the upside for me is less than a lot of these other teams that I'll be talking about right now. Number 7 is Livin' La Vida Yoda. Don't get the name, but you're new to the league, so let's give you some grace. I think this is one of the best running back groups in the league, which is why you eked it out, even though, I'm just going to spoil it, you get a B- as well in your draft grade. You eked out a little bit over the Chairman because that running back group is unbelievably beautiful, unbelievably sexy. I have a little bit of a crush on it. But I think after that, your wide receiver group missed the mark as well. Running backs, for those who aren't following, Kamara and Najee Harris. Najee Harris and Kamara, 2 guys I believe will be top 10 running backs, which I know you're hoping at the place you drafted them at. You get Kittle as a tight end, so you're set on 2 positions. You get Swift, so you're really set. I actually do like Swift this year, despite him getting a lot of hate. But that wide receiver, you go Thielen, a guy who's just regressing. You never want a guy who's going backwards. I still like him a bit in fantasy, but not as your number 1 wide receiver. You get Russell Wilson, a fantastic quarterback, so you're set on every position but wide receiver, but then you drop the ball later on. You would need value picks here, in my opinion, at wide receiver to make up for going so heavy on all the other positions, and you don't make them. Galladay, an injured guy. Well, I'm nervous about that offense anyway. Claypool, a guy who again, 3rd leading receiver, in my opinion, on that offense this season. Then you go back up to James Conner. I'll give you a lot of credit with Brandon Cooks, Brandin Cooks is a very good late round pick that could have saved this group, and which is actually what broke it. I view your and the chairman's team as equal until I saw Brandin Cooks. That's one of your better value picks, one of the better value picks of the entire draft. You do get a B-, but you get the edge, and that is why you are the 7th strongest team. The 6th strongest team goes to a team we remember as well, and that team is Pain Train. Pain Train also went running back heavy very early, and I do kind of like the guys he got. Derrick Henry, solid. I believe this is a PPR league, so I would have waited on Henry after Kamara, but it's fine. Mixon, I do like in the PPR league also a lot. Workhorse back, you got to take it. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, another workhorse back, you got to take it. So love your running back group. Amari Cooper, really like that wide receiver 1. Godwin, don't love the wide receiver 2, even though he's the top guy in Tampa Bay. In my opinion, or I think everyone's opinion, I don't love it. And then for your third receiver, where you really need value, you go MT, who's not going to play until week 8. Where everyone's team's going to hopefully be kind of different from trades anyway. I don't love the MT pick. I don't even think he'll be back by week 8. And if he is, I'm not sure what he's going to look like. Cortland Sutton, I don't really see too much value there. Then you go Melvin, don't see it. Landry, don't see it. Carter, don't see it. The depth picks here were just average. Everything was mid, just like CLB was. That's a Drake reference. Didn't belong in this recap. But everyone's saying CLB's mid, and I agree. I'm a huge Drake fan. Anyway, no one cares about that. Okay, so with all of that being said, I gave you a B- as well. That's the last B- that we got, but I do view your B- as a B- plus. That's what all my teachers used to tell me. You got a B-, but it was a B- plus. It was close to a B. So that's what you get. And I'm going to stop making jokes. That was team number 6. Team number 5 goes to the well-remembered El Capitan. My video cut out, so hopefully I edited this in. As I was saying, team number 5 goes to El Captain. Let's talk about your team. So for your running back, your first pick, Jonathan Taylor in PPR for me is an iffy pick because he has that timeshare. I think he could handle it if the team gave him that opportunity. But because of Hines and Mac's presence in that backfield, especially in passing situations, I'd be very hesitant to take Taylor as early as you did. For me, he's more of a late second round pick, even in a 10-team league. But it's fine. And I think that your 0 RB strategy after that was solid. So you went Devontae Adams first, then Taylor, then Kyle Pitts, then CeeDee Lamb, Lamar Jackson, before returning to running back and recovering because you did end up getting Mike Davis, which is a good pick. T. Higgins, a solid pick. The depth for me wasn't really there with this team, but because I really like the top of that draft for you, especially your wide receiver group, and I love Devontae Adams. I think, especially in PPR, he's going to be the number 1 receiver, fantastic guy to anchor it. I think Kyle Pitts is a tight end, even though it might have been a slight reach in a PPR. It could also be incredible based on his target share that I'm expecting this year. I'm actually surprised I give this team a B, to be honest. It's looking more like a B- on second look, but it's too late. Even if you got a B-, you would have broken the tie with Pain Train. So we're gonna still give you that 5th best team, and your official draft grade's a B, even though I regret it already. Now this is where the tier breaks. This is where I really think 4 teams separated themselves to be the top 4 teams in the league. My guess for the semifinals, even though it's ridiculously early. So let's talk about these 4 teams. The 4th team getting a B+ is TBD. I absolutely love the first 4 rounds for TBD, the draft picks that were made. So I'm trying to remember that TBD. When I say TBD, it's the CH. It's a team I couldn't pronounce all last season, so I'm not even gonna try. When we look at TBD, the first 3 rounds were strong. Kelsey, you're set at tight end. Eckler, Keenan Allen. Usually I hate same guys, same team. I love those two. Both I think are going to have remarkable seasons. Allen Robinson was a great value pick, a steal that late. And then you made the only pick where that made me go a little bit, You had Josh Jacobs or Miles Sanders to decide between. I took Josh Jacobs in this situation because Miles Sanders was the pick before me. They're the 2 guys that are always drafted right after each other, so they're talked about a lot. I like Miles Sanders more, especially in the PPRs. You already know all this, but the Raiders did give Kenyon Drake a good contract. Their offensive line does have issues. And that offense, are they going to be good? Josh Jacobs I read this earlier today. I'm not going to act like I researched this on my own, but about like 90% of his touchdowns have come in winning games, in games where the Raiders won. So he's much better when the Raiders are winning. And unfortunately, I think I would expect they're a losing team this year. Maybe not awful, but a losing team this year that hasn't made significant strides. So I am hesitant to really bank on Josh Jacobs having a big season. But honestly, at this point in the draft, him or Miles Sanders would both be pretty solid picks to get a top running back. So I don't want to shit on that pick. But I just wanted to say I think Miles Sanders would have been a better pick. Probably would have gotten you into the top 3. But outside of that, top to bottom, remarkable picks. Damian Harris late was fantastic. Robbie Anderson reconnecting with Sam Darnold, really great pick. Callaway, a really great value pick. I like that you got Nyheim Hines late, just in case that backfield, especially in the PPRs. I was just talking about Jonathan Taylor. Even though Nyheim Hines, I mean, that's such an irrelevant. It just shows that your decision making was sound. And I really do think that this team could win it all, based on what I'm seeing. So with that, you got a B+, fourth strongest team. Top 3, all got A minuses, but I do think there's barely gaps between the teams, but all very strong. So coming in number 3, welcome to the league, Team Glory Hole. All hits, no misses on all the picks. I talked about Hawkinson, and I've talked about Miles Sanders already, so there's not too much we need to go in depth on, except for the fact that Aaron Jones in PPR is a fantastic pick. Aaron Jones, Nick Chubb, first 2 picks, yum. Justin Jefferson, Terry McLaurin, yum. This is an aesthetically pleasing draft because at the turn, you get 2 good running backs, set at running back, 2 very good young wide receivers, set at wide receiver, and it just feels good. DJ Moore, good third receiver, not in love with the pick, but fantastic team already, so why not? Miles Sanders, you're just rounding out the fact that your running back, wide receiver, flex are set. Then you get TJ Hawkinson, the best value tight end, so you're set on all positions. Only thing is quarterback, and you get Dak Prescott. Was that also fantastic value pick at quarterback? So, yeah, I mean, do I love the in-depth picks? The reasons I didn't put you in 1 or 2, despite loving your starting lineup, is I don't really love your bench, but, I mean, we're picking hairs at this point. So, fantastic draft. Welcome to the league, Team Glory Hole. Top 2, number 2, also a new team. You guys are letting these new teams just run all over you. And team number 2 is Crucifier. Crucifier is new to the league, of course, and show that they are ready to play with an incredibly well-rounded team. That's why I put A-. Do I think that they have the top guys? Not really, but I think every position is accounted for and has 0 holes. Running back, you got Dalvin Cook. Okay, that's your superstar. Chris Carson, very solid. Chase Edmonds, solid. You're in a great spot there. Wide receiver, DK Metcalf, solid. Ridley, very solid. I'm shocked Metcalf before Ridley. Cooper Kupp, very, very solid. Lockett, very, very, very solid. And I'm talking about values here. Obviously, Metcalf's better than Lockett. But, 2 Seattle guys. I actually just noticed that. So running back, wide receiver, absolutely stellar. I mean, you don't have a McCaffrey. You have 1 Dalvin Cooks, but the rest of your guys, like, instead of Metcalf, I probably would have looked at DeAndre Hopkins. That would have given you more star power and given you maybe the edge to get an A. But Metcalf, obviously solid, especially knowing you got Lockett. This team would look a lot better to me if you had D-Hop. But Ridley, a good value pick. I just love all of these guys that you have in this team. I think Pittman was a really great value later on. I really have no issues with this team. You also got yourself 2 good quarterbacks. I really don't have any notes. Very solid team. I mean, this is a team with a depth that I wouldn't be shocked if, in order to get to an A from my eyes, if you did a 2-for-1 trade, if you gave a guy like Metcalf and a Chase Edmonds later on, because you just don't need that running back depth for like a Devontae Adams. That would be like that's what I'm, or Ridley and Edmonds might even be more appealing to a team like Al Captain with Devontae Adams. This is obviously all hypothetical, but you did put yourself in a position where later on this season I could see you continuing to strengthen this team. But with all that being said, last year, for about the last 10 recaps, I just kept talking about how I was in love with El Professor's team. And I believe El Professor did win. I mean, I can't give myself any credit. Anyone that looked would have been like, that's the best team. I hope they won. I think they won. Yeah, I was told they won. But I'm going to give myself credit for calling it throughout the season, even though it was just the widest gap of all time. I'm getting a call for my food order. I will ignore. I got to answer it. You guys are going to have to watch 10 seconds of this. I'm so sorry. Hi, is the food downstairs? Great. Thanks so much. Be down in a minute. This is why they pay me the big bucks. Okay, so we're coming back. El Professor, number 1 team in the league, at least after the draft. Just has an absolute edge on this league, just absolutely living in everyone's head rent free. I hope this person's a nice person. I said that all the time last season because I'm just so nice to his team. The number 1 pick, you're going to get McCaffrey. Obviously, you're going to be in a good spot. But you guys let him get Gibson at the end of the 2nd round and D-Hop at the turn of the 3rd round. Kyler Murray all the way in the 5th round. Gus Edwards in the 7th round. I don't know how that happened because this happened after J.K. Dobbins' injury. Mostert, another great guy in the 8th round. Javonte Williams in the 9th round. Antonio Brown in the 10th round. Corey Davis. Every pick was a very, very solid, very, very solid value pick. Honestly, I do see this team and Crucifier as tied. This is the tie. This is tied in sign language, or just... I see them as the same, but I have to give El Professor the edge because I just know he's going to value the hell out of this team and make... Wow, I don't even know if it's a guy or a girl. And I said he. I'm going to guess it's a guy. Fantasy football. But that might be sexist. I have to give the edge because you're the former winner and you just have McCaffrey, who the ceiling is the sky. So I have to give you the edge of this best team. It didn't get an A. It's still an A-, just like Crucifier and Glory Hole. So I will say in this league, it's not like this thing's over, obviously. Most obvious statement I said the entire recap, but it's wide open. There's no runaway teams. But Professor S is always a team to beat. Someone dethrone him, please. I want these recaps to be more interesting outside of me just saying Professor S is going to win this whole thing. Perfect. So with that being said, best of luck to everyone this season. I'm low-key rooting for a new team to win it all, but a back-to-back would be sick for El Professor unless he won the year before that I wasn't involved, then it'd be a 3-peat, and that'd be really sick. So best of luck to everyone. Enjoy football. Best time of the year. Love you all. Peace and love. Bye.